Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Calgary.
Day 3 of training camp. We found a little nugget as a car is coming and is going to kill us. We found the lineups that the Raptors have been using in training camp. Obviously, the presumed starters with RJ Barrett as the shooting guard, but the bench group is what gets really interesting.
Jamal Shed, Grady Dick, Ochai Baji, Colin Murray-Boyles, Sandro Mamukelashvili. This could be a little bit of misinformation. This isn't concrete. They can switch things around, but these are what they've been operating as for the 5-on-5. The third string is a collection of Elijah Martin, Jacoby Walter, AJ Lawson, Jonathan Mogbo, Olivier Sarr, Chucky Hepburn, Garrett Temple, David Roddy, and the yet-to-play Orish Shamshay.
Yeah. So prioritizing CMB with that second unit and Ochai over Jacoby. Now we'll see. Again, there is fluidity to this. They're probably going to have a lot of different
Grady
lineups.
Over Jacoby
and Grady over Jacoby too. Yeah, for sure. They will have different lineups. Doesn't matter. We'll see what happens. Day 3. Let's rock.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's heavy.
Yeah, I'm a really big pizza guy.
That's it.
Okay, day 3 is a wrap. We were busy. He was busy doing a Grady Dick interview. How was that?
It was great.
Yeah.
You never know how, because Grady and I have talked before, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I covered his right from the jump.
Yeah.
You never know if a guy's going to be like a really good interview. It's also different versus like pulling a guy one-on-one talking versus they see the cameras and the lights and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He was good.
Yeah.
I think, when you're trying to do like the X's and O's with stuff with guys, which I love to do, they don't know how much they should give.
Yeah.
There's always that like the PR or coaching, whatever from up on high.
Yeah.
They don't know how much you're supposed to give, but I think he gave quite a bit, and that's the reason why they wanted to give me the Grady interview, is because he's more open to that kind of conversation.
That will be out tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Very good conversation with you and Grady. From scrums and from practice, what we saw, CMB getting in some work in terms of shooting, Jonathan Mogbo getting in some work when it comes to shooting, not as successful.
I'll stop you right there quickly.
Yes, please stop.
I trust CMB a lot more to develop his shooting than I do Mogbo.
I think CMB's jumper is a little bit more functional, at least from like the hands. But I'm not a shot doctor. I have no idea. But like watching Mogbo back, he kind of has the Tatum thing where it's like the hips.
It's very truncated. But the big difference between the two of them is that Mogbo, they're both physical specimens. They're both unreal athletes.
Yeah.
And as far as like the side-to-side movement at their size, so impressive. But CMB from college, his touch is infinitely better than Mogbo's. and that manifests in how they finish around the rim without dunking. And Mogbo, that's his big step, is figuring out how to score on the inside. Yeah. Whereas CMB, I think we talked yesterday about how his physicality showed up immediately. His touch shows up immediately as well. It does.
Yeah. I mean, it did in Summer League. And I mean, we've talked about this with Mogbo so much, but he was not a good finisher in his rookie year. And I think it was like 45% on shots in and around the basket. That's just not good for a guy of his size. It might have been worse.
Yeah.
And so if that aspect of his game, and by the way, on this team, he will be in the dunker spot more often when he's playing. Yep. He will be a guy who probably has to cut to the basket more often, be used as a pick and roll guy more often, as a screener. How he maximizes those opportunities will be really interesting. I remember in the second half of last season when I talked to him, he said, they've been telling me just to try and dunk everything. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be the expectation this season too.
Well, and the great thing is that there's examples of when Caitlin and I were comparing the different cutting or the same cutting scheme across teams. It's so much different when Brandon Ingram is driving the ball there.
Yeah.
Ingram's presence will open up more dunker spot opportunities, whether that's Jakob, Scotty, Mogbo, CMB, whomever. There's going to be more opportunities for that. He's definitely the most talented offensive player on the team. He'll help those guys. And Mogbo, as we talked about at the front end, is clearly not viewed as like in the top 10 right now.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be right place, right time, rotation, tethering him to a guy like Brandon Ingram makes sense on both sides of the floor.
Let's talk about the rotations, because I think that was the biggest kind of discovery we had today. We were looking through the IG photos that the Raptors posted, and I was like, hey, these jerseys match up with what the starters and the bench are. Ochai Agbaji in that second unit over Jacoby Walter. Mamu, as we know, is going to work as a de facto backup 5 for this team.
Yeah.
CMB in, so over Mogbo, which we just talked about. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the fact that that is the bench unit?
Yeah, it makes sense. There's time for it to change if somebody pops off, of course. Yeah. It could change as early as tomorrow at the open practice. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that does...
And we'll get more of like what they're... Maybe not, because they split up the teams.
Yeah. But, you guys will see lots of the open practice. Yes. In our vlog of that day, you'll see lots. We'll have lots for you.
It'll be one of the longer vlogs.
It'll include Banff as well.
Yes.
Stay tuned for that.
Yep.
But on top of that, it makes sense. It's kind of what I was talking about when we did the tier list, when I talked about I like Jacoby a lot as a prospect, but I do think this season, given the contract considerations for Grady and Ochai both,
100%.
And the fact that Grady is a lottery pick, Ochai definitely deserves to get some run. He was
a lottery pick too, right?
Yes, he was. Yeah. He was 14th. And they traded a first-round pick for him.
Yeah.
And he shot like 60% true shooting last year. And he plays defense the way they like, at least to let them do their scheme.
Yeah.
Those guys are just 100% going to get a longer look at what they're requiring from those guys in the second unit to start the season. Jacoby can leapfrog.
He will eventually,
if he plays well.
Yeah.
But there's also the potential that like second year is not Jacoby's year. Third year could be big.
You mentioned that last time we talked, where it's like they are going to take the slow approach with Jacoby, which means maybe prioritizing Ochai. And obviously with the trade rumors that will happen with Ochai and his contract, naturally giving him more opportunity, one, gets other teams and other scouts to get to see him more often, but also for the Raptors to evaluate and see, is this a guy we want as part of our long-term future? I like the fact that that's the second unit. The other part is, Grady and his defense is going to be a very interesting aspect of that second unit. Darko talked about how he added that physicality. He's looking better on defense. He's grabbing rebounds. He's not getting pushed off of his spot as often as he used to. That's a big sign for that second unit to be successful.
Definitely, and we're noticing that on both ends of the floor. Defensively, he's doing a much better job in contact. He's doing a much better job of rebounding the ball, much better job of staying in front of the guys. And offensively, we're really focusing with him to get him to play simple offensive game. Like when he has open shots and even like slightly contested shots, just to be ready to shoot a ball and just to play with a lot of aggressiveness. And his physical shape and adding strength definitely is helping with that.
It's about as effusive he's been in praising Grady's defense.
Totally.
There's always they always add stuff with Grady's defense.
Yeah.
Always. Last training camp, they added stuff.
Mm-hmm.
After games, they add stuff. Every time Darko talks about Grady's defense, there's lots to improve. There's all these other things.
Well, every time last year when I worked on a Grady piece, every time I asked Darko about his offense, I was like, hey, Grady's been such a great cutter. He's like, yes, he's been great, but we need him to work on the defensive side of the ball. It was always a caveat.
There always caveats, always qualifying it. This was just, he's doing better.
Yeah.
You can see that his body, and we talk a little bit of muscle watch tomorrow, and we didn't talk that much defense, so I'm glad Grady Darko talked about it today. But it's high praise to not qualify things with Grady.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen, it's been 7 months. It's been 7 months since we've seen Grady play a full speed game, and tomorrow's not even full speed. But I will be watching closely for that.
Yeah, get a chance to watch him a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, look, the main takeaways, the other aspect of this scrum and this day was the fact that Brandon Ingram and Darko seem to be growing their own connections and understandings.
He's intense all the time. He talks about aggressiveness, dominating on the defensive end, and letting our offense come easy from the defensive end. So he's been very present every single day. And when we come in here, we expect energy from him, and he brings it every time. That's the way I like to be coached. Knowing every detail, it helps me study the game a lot more. Helps me do the little things. He's pushing me, helping me be better on that side of the basketball, and making sure that I'm doing the simple things on the floor. Continue to push me. He holds everybody accountable, and that's what we need to get better.
Type of connection is important for a guy who, one, re-signed with the team without playing a single game, but also getting buy-in on the type of offense they want to run, on the type of defense they want to run, on like being willing to play a different style compared to what Brandon Ingram has played in the past. We've talked about the cutting and off-ball movement. Like how much do we get of that? I don't think we will get a ton.
Brandon Ingram is going to elevate the Raptors a lot because of what we talked about yesterday. What we've talked about
for months now.
8 months.
Yeah, I know.
8 months since he joined the team. It's his talent is going to be what drives the positive change for the Raptors. I wouldn't expect a guy in year 10 who is a very specific type of good player to change so much. Of course, on the margins, yes, we can expect some things. Defensively, I think we can expect some things.
Yeah, I'm very excited to do our awards draft. This week has made me excited to do the awards draft with you and Trey because it's like, there's stuff on the line.
Out next Thursday
Thursday. Yeah.
I'm excited for it, and also it's Brandon. We made the joke about the Coach Carter thing. What do you want us to do on offense? Run.
Yeah.
Defense is a whole other thing. That's basically what Brandon said today. That he's like, Kate, just always talk about defense. Only defense. Let the defense make offense easy.
Yep.
They want to play in transition. Raptors fans, this is not new. You have heard this from Nick Nurse. You've heard this. Even Dwayne Casey talked about. Every coach talks about this. Every coach has these higher ideals they want players to play at. Talent matters, though, and play style matters.
Can I actually bring something up here? This is not as Raptors related, but Grizzlies head coach Thomas Isalo, who just became the full-time head coach for the Grizzlies, he got asked in media day about the Pacers' pace, the way that they play, how fast did they play, and does that basically validate like the Grizzlies wanting to play faster? And he's like, the pace the best teams play at right now in 2030 is going to look laughable. So he thinks it's going to be even faster moving forward, and the pace is just going to be through the roof just because teams are trying to win on the margins from transition, from offensive rebounding, et cetera, et cetera. Thoughts? I'm throwing this on you randomly, but yeah.
The Raptors are every team is trying to slow down pace at the same time.
On the defensive side,
I'm not sure if it'll work the same way as what, coach is saying, because there's always a pushback. And the pushback is what you'll see the Raptors do. It's what I talked to CMB about yesterday, is that tagging up, pressuring the ball. If you score, if you don't score, you can apply that pressure immediately. So there's a catch and hold aspect to what the offense is doing before they outlet pass. And it's the same thing that the Pacers, I'll just say, they got pretty lucky on their run. I covered that playoff run. they got pretty lucky to not play a team that was like insane offensive rebounding.
Right.
And even with the Knicks, Mitchell Robinson had stuff he was dealing with, right?
Yeah.
And
they're not even close to what they were offensive rebounding wise a couple years ago.
Of course, offensive rebounding, there's always a give and take.
Yeah.
And the Raptors are currently trying to take in both regards. So for people who don't know, the Raptors, they do something called tagging up. It's where you apply pressure to the back of your guy. You let them box you out, and you just apply that pressure so that they're your check immediately, so that your transition defense is much better.
Yeah.
And also you can box them out for long rebounds because there's a higher frequency of threes.
Yep.
It's how teams control pace, and then you do ball pressure after that.
Yeah.
The Raptors are both a team that does ball pressure, tags up, and they're a team that wants to play fast going the other way. There's like an equilibrium that's struck.
Yeah. But the thing that makes it interesting is like the push and pull of the trends. And I mean, everybody talks about how small ball was a thing when the Warriors were at their height, and what was the immediate reaction to that? Let's go bigger, right? We were talking earlier about the Mavs being this massive team with Anthony Davis and Cooper Flagg and Gafford and Lively and all that. But like you see teams be so much bigger now compared to even 4 or 5 years ago. I think that's the way, to your point of trends and how they get bucked or get pushed back on. If something happens one way, people will find the counter to that and use it pretty quickly. So
it's talented. On the margins, you see trends pick up on the whole. However, talent dictates everything.
Yeah.
The Thunder still won.
They did, yeah.
And the Thunder, they do not play as fast as the Pacers
No,
did.
they don't. No.
And maybe the greatest team I've ever seen in my life, the Warriors, with Kevin Durant, if Chris Paul doesn't injure his hamstring, I think a slow as hell Rockets team would have beat them up and won in 6 or 7 against them.
27 missed threes, bro.
It's terrible, but
no, you're right. Yeah, they were the closest.
There's always a counterpunch.
Yeah.
And the counterpunch doesn't create the new meta, but it does create a little bit of it slows the rush to do
it's
those
finding that
things.
like equilibrium, right? It's always like finding a balance. Basketball, and if you look at it through basically since it was created, it's always been striving for some sort of balance.
Yes.
That's what's cool about the sport, dude.
And that's what makes sense for the Raptors, who they've gotten more talent. The Raptors ostensibly are all in on the latest trends in the NBA that we
100%,
see. The burgeoning trends, they're in on. The stuff that OKC does on defense, the Raptors want to do it. The stuff that the Pacers did on offense, the Raptors want to do it. The aspects of like ISO scoring that was present in some of the teams that got to that point, big wing initiation, whether it's ISO scoring from Brunson, big wing initiation from the Celtics, the Raptors are trying to meet the middle of that with Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes to some degree.
Yeah.
That should help them.
Totally.
But talent is
talent is a good equalizer for a lot of different things.
Talent is more than the equalizer. Talent is everything in the league.
Yeah.
I got asked a mailbag question where somebody was saying, that training camp is maybe meaningless because it's just like niceties and fluff. Because think about when the Raptors won the championship, training camp was a mess.
Yeah.
And we think about that.
That's true.
Fred hates. I shouldn't say hates. Fred is bristling at what Kawhi's situation is.
Yeah.
Kyle is in a cold war against Masai Ujiri. Kawhi is like, what the hell is happening? He's saying he won't report. And then he shows up and he's got not a ton to say. And they made a trade in season. They finally figured something out. But Kawhi left right away. It was not the greatest coordination of personalities, but the talent matters.
You know what? That is a good point. People always bring up like vibes and how important vibes are. Vibes are not as important as talent is. You can win incrementally more with some good vibes, but you can't win way more with just good vibes.
Vibes help on the margins for teams that want to make the jump.
Yeah.
And vibes help keep teams together that are trying to make the jump to like true contender status.
Yeah.
Like the Cavs, if everyone plays really well and everyone loves each other, then they can keep running it back for a few years and try things and expect things to be better. Some teams fall apart.
Totally.
Phoenix, I mean, God damn.
Man.
They had a lot of talent. Damn. But it fell apart.
Anyways, yeah, a little fun conversation there.
Yeah.
If you guys want the Grady Dick interview with Samson, will be out tomorrow. So that's Friday. Be on the lookout for that. Open practice is also on Friday, so make sure to be on the lookout for that. We have, it's been a good week of training camp. Subscribe to Raptors Republic. Appreciate you guys. As always, we will see you later.
Here we go. That's not bad.
Hey, it was better than I thought it'd be.
I think hopefully Grady takes the jump, for the white shirt community.
Happy birthday.
Oh.
Oh man, I love pissing this guy off.